In the heart of America's heartland, where the Illinois River winds through endless fields of corn, ordinary lives were being woven into an extraordinary tapestry. This is the story of a family, a business, and the unbreakable foundation they built together. Like so many American stories, it begins with close calls and chance meetings, with young people searching for something solid in uncertain times. In the autumn of 1954, high above the town of Pekin, a young man named Hartley clung to the narrow bones of a church steeple.
Dad never talked much about that day, but Mom would tell us how he almost fell, how one slip could have changed everything.
Just a college student at Bradley University, Hartley spent his weekends in work boots, taking whatever construction jobs he could find. On this day, the job was sacred, installing the cross atop St. Paul's Church. The lift didn't reach. There were no harnesses in those days, just grit, prayer, and a steady foot. But that foot slipped.
In those days, one mistake could cost you everything. No safety nets, literal or otherwise. That generation built America with their bare hands and held on tight.
While Hartley regained his balance on that steeple, across town, another story was beginning. Sally Ackerman was born in 1929 in a farmhouse just outside Morton, Illinois, at the onset of the Great Depression.
Mom used to tell us about gathering eggs in the morning before school. They had electricity when many farms didn't, but it was still hard work. Character building work, she called it.
Her first classroom was a one-room schoolhouse tucked beside the family fields, a place where every grade shared a chalkboard and where snow was shoveled by hand. But Sally always had her eyes set on something further. She left the farm for college, starting in St. Louis and finishing at Bradley in Peoria with a degree in home economics. In 1954, as Sally adjusted to her new job at Caterpillar, she had no idea that just blocks away, the man she would marry had nearly fallen from a steeple. And he had no idea that the woman who would become his anchor had just stepped into the next chapter of her life. By the time Hartley graduated, that close call on the church rooftop had settled into the background. One of those quiet, unspoken memories that shapes a man. Soon after, he and Sally were married at St. Paul's Church, the very steeple Hartley had once nearly fallen from.
The wedding was talked about for years. Half the town was there. Many remembered the story of the steeple boy. It had become local legend by then.
They moved into a small upstairs apartment above Dr. Walker's office. Modest, drafty, but theirs. They shared late-night meals at a folding table, whispered dreams into the dark, and waited for the knock that would bring Hartley's Air Force orders.
We didn't have much then, but we had each other and that little cabin on Lake Michigan. The water was so cold, but we'd wrap up in quilts and just watch the sunset. You don't need much when you're starting out together.
But theirs wasn't the only story taking root. Graham, Hartley's older brother, had already begun to chart his own course. After finishing at Bradley and joining Army ROTC, Graham's orders came quickly. Iceland, a land of silence and storms, where the sky met snow and stayed there.
Many young men from the Midwest found themselves stationed in remote outposts during the early Cold War. They came back changed, often quieter, more focused. They had seen the world beyond the cornfields.
That winter he married Margie Hoffman, a girl with a strong heart and a quick wit. They moved into the same apartment that Hartley and Sally had just left. The same narrow hallways, the same worn steps, the same clatter of Dr. Walker's footsteps below. Graham took a job at Steger Paint and Flooring, helping families choose colors, textures, and the feel of a new beginning. He worked with his hands, measured rooms by eye, filled his days with honest labor and quiet pride. Two brothers, two young brides, one humble apartment stacked above a doctor's office. It wasn't just a building, it was a beginning, a place where dinners were shared and prayers whispered, where two families started weaving their stories together, unknowingly laying the first bricks of a legacy that would last.
Grandpa always said the business started long before they hung the sign. It started in that apartment, with two brothers figuring out how to build something that would last.
What began as Hartley and Graham's modest vision would grow into one of the region's most respected family businesses, built on the foundations of near misses and second chances, of frozen lake shores and warm kitchens.
You know, I still look up at that steeple sometimes and think how different life might have been, but I didn't fall that day. And everything good in my life, the family, the business, all of it, came after that moment when my foot found solid ground.
The story of the Hartley family isn't just about a business, it's about America itself, about holding on when gravity tries to pull you down, about building something that outlasts you, about the quiet strength that doesn't make headlines, but never fades.
I want to take a moment to clear up a few things and to thank you for coming along on this journey. Like my friend Michael always says, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm having a good time doing it. And honestly, that sums up this whole project for me. My goal was always to share a story faithful to the facts, but even with the best intentions, I made some honest mistakes. To get past my struggles with writing in English, I leaned on AI as a ghostwriter, then shaped the story into a screenplay, and finally, into this video, using just narration and old photos from treasured scrapbooks. The timeline's not perfect, but the heart of it, the people, the memories, the message, remains true. So a few clarifications. Sally never gathered eggs because she was afraid of birds. She pitched in with plenty of other farm chores though. She didn't go to school in St. Louis either. She worked there but studied at Bradley. And Graham? He wasn't stationed in Iceland. It was actually Greenland during his Air Force years. Thank you for watching and for your understanding. This project is a labor of love, not perfection. I'm grateful you're here, helping me preserve these memories. Credits to Industrial History, I.Pekin Bridge, and PekinBicentennial.com/gallery.html map.